Okay, we're live on YouTube. And let's go over to Audacity. 3, 2, 1. Hi, and welcome to episode 12 of This Week in the Grotto. And today we are going to be talking about different training styles that Jillian and I have used for both ourselves and that we have used for our personal clients. And then are also some of the basic tenets and principles behind a lot of the programs and classes that we do at U Evolve Buffalo. We are also doing YouTube Live, so you can watch or listen to us live every week from here on in, or you can go back onto YouTube, and these videos will also be uploaded and posted if you wanted to check them out. And as always, we will keep the audio available on Podbean for our weekly podcast. You can find it on Podbean listed as This Week in the Grotto, or just go to the U Evolve Buffalo YouTube channel. Jill, what's going on? This is kind of a neat format that we're trying here, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I'm excited. This is different than anything that we've done yet. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes, and cool as we get people hopefully interacting and engaging and in on this with us.
Yeah, I think once we kind of get the hang of this, and then we can add into some live chats and we'll expand. But for today, we'll just focus on treating it like a regular podcast. And I'm sure from week to week, as we get more comfortable with the format and become more efficient at getting it out there on social media, it'll become more and more engaging as we go. Before we get into the topic of the day, now, again, I'd like to remind everyone the reason why we do this in the first place is because we have so many different things going on at U Evolve Buffalo. It seems like we always have 10 pokers in the fire, maybe even too many at sometimes. But because we do so much, that we needed a way to keep everybody up to date on everything that we're doing, whether it's programs that we are implementing, new classes we're bringing to the schedule, things that we are doing with the You Give Buffalo charitable end of our business. We like to shout out when clients are doing exceptionally well, upcoming meets, powerlifting meets, bodybuilding meets, anything. There's just a lot of different stuff. Merchandise. I can go on and on. So that's the purpose why we're doing this weekly. So you can come into one place and get all the information and stay up to date with all things UEB. So with that being said, Jill, why don't you let everybody know? We'll start off before we get into today's topic. Let's briefly get everybody caught up to date on some of the programs that are going to be launching in the very near future, the next couple weeks.
Sure. So we have our one of the main basis of our of U Evolve Buffalo is our lean program, our lifestyle program, lifestyle exercise and nutrition. That is going to be starting up again, actually coming up May 1st. So we're just right about getting ready to start another session of it. This round is going to be 8 weeks. It'll take everyone pretty much right up to summer. I think the last Sunday, the conclusion of it will be Sunday with the men on June 23rd. So it'll be a good segue, getting everyone ready for summer. We do still have our 5 time slots, Wednesday at 5:30 p.m., Thursday morning for the early birds at 6 a.m. We have 2 Saturday sessions at 7:30 a.m. and 8:30 a.m. and then our men only crew at 8:30 a.m. on Sundays. So that's going to be starting up. It's we've had some pretty fantastic results since we've had this going. If people check out our Facebook page or our Instagram, you can see a lot of people have been specifically featured, but there's been a lot of positive changes that people have made in regards to all of this. So I'm excited to get it started back up again. I know people are itching to get this round going as well.
I think the important thing that everyone should realize about the lean program that we do is that it's not just a weight loss program.
Sure.
It's very customizable to the individual, and you can make what you want of the program. And I think especially the last time we did this starting in January and we ran it for 12 weeks, people really took advantage of that. They didn't come in with just weight loss goals. Many people did, but they were also probably the most amount of people we've had since running these programs came in with different goals of consistency, wanting to change their habits, whether it's
Sure.
exercise habits, eating habits, not focusing on the scale, but looking for different tangible improvements in strength and different things like that. And we're pleased that at the end of, well, in this case, we're going to be running 8 weeks, but that they were able to just stay on track, get the exercise, get their nutrition consistent again. When you do that, by default, you're going to lose some weight most of the time, which they did. And it kind of really took the pressure off of them from week to week to have to go in, be herded like cattle and be put on a scale and almost use that scale as like, judge, hangman, and jury. So that, I think, brought a sense of relief to a lot of people that they were able to set their own goals and not have to be accountable to a body weight every week.
Sure. Absolutely. And then I think one of the other key components is that we're not giving a one size fits all type suggestion when it comes to the nutrition. It's very much catered to each individual as they reach out and they give us kind of within reason what their preferences are in regards to when it comes to nutrition as a whole. And, we give our guidance and support and help with the accountability there as well. And I mean, also along with all of the exercise and nutrition, we did also put out there and incorporate some other lifestyle skills that helped with energy, sleep habits, and stuff like that along the way as well, just to help, again, because it's really a whole lifestyle.
We outlined 20 steps, which included all those things, nutrition, exercise, and lifestyle. And that was kind of like our mantra throughout the program, that people could always go back and refer themselves to see, basically almost like a checklist, 20-point checklist. Are you accomplishing, are you improving all of these different aspects of this program in order to reach your goal? And if anything was not on point, it was a very easy fix to go back and say, okay, number 14, 18, 19, and 20, I'm not really doing well on. So let me focus my energy on those principles. And 9 out of 10 times, if they were corrected, I would say 100% of the time. Actually, I personally didn't have any problem with anybody that tried to go back, make those corrections, that didn't come back the next week with improvements.
Right.
If you didn't make an effort to correct them, then of course you can't expect any change. But I would say definitely batted 1,000 for anybody that went back, revisited that list of 20 items, made the corrections, and it worked 100% of the time. Not saying that past results guarantee future outcomes, but pretty confident that if you follow those principles, you're going to be on the mark.
Sure. Absolutely. So that's going to be starting May 1st. Along with that, we also have our obstacle course training program that's going to be running another 6 weeks. We're just coming to the conclusion of around right now. It's a 6-week program, and it focuses on a lot of strength, endurance, building up cardiovascular capacity, your grip strength, and pretty much anything that is used in these obstacle course races. The Spartan, the Tough Mudder, we did the Bone Frog, the last couple years. Unfortunately, it won't be coming back to Buffalo this year. So we are actually in the process of looking for another race to complete as a team. And what's really great about it is it does have there is really a sense of team with all of these people. And that's something that we've been incorporating with each class by class, focusing on the fact that even though that, it's kind of, you do it as an individual, but you and I both have done those, and a lot of those obstacles you can't get through without somebody having your back. I mean, climbing up the walls, hell, I'm 5'1". Some of the walls were, I think the one wall was 10 feet tall, and I have the vertical of, well,
Of a
not
5'1" person.
yeah, exactly. So it was definitely very helpful to have the teammates there, and it helps build. There's the camaraderie. It's just a really great group of people. So I'm really excited to continue with all of them, and we had a pretty good group. And actually, we had John Biddlecom, who has been one of our clients for quite a while now. He's been doing it, and then he actually brought his stepson Dave and got him involved with it too, which was pretty good. He's a real strong kid. He's 17 years old. He's a strong kid, and even over the last 4 or 5 weeks or so, I've seen him make some progressions already. And he's not somebody who trains regularly. So this, I think, this experience was a little bit of a shock, because it is a very, very intense, it's a very intense program. It's not something that I recommend to everybody. If you have significant knee problems, I definitely do not recommend this program. If you have back problems, residual back injury, from that, this is not a program that I would recommend, but it's definitely a upscaled opportunity to kind of jack up your training and really amplify everything. So I'm excited.
It's definitely, if you're untrained, it would be definitely jumping in the deep end of the pool.
Oh yeah, in the deep end without being able to swim almost. It really is. It is they laugh at me every week because I'll send them sometimes the workout as to what we're doing, and I plan it. So the class is at 7:30 p.m. on Wednesday evenings, and I will plan it at about 11, when the motivation and the ambition is high. And they always are like, oh, well, here we go, 11 a.m. Jill, because I come up with these ideas. And then by the time, 7:30 comes along, I'm like, oh, you guys, I don't know what I got us into for tonight. But I mean, it's a pretty cool experience too, to see the progression that all of these people have made, Matt Joyner and Nate and Dan Bryan, actually, he was the one who, when we first opened up and we're getting started, he was chirping in my ear about this idea about, you guys need to do some kind of obstacle course training program, because he's got himself involved in these for probably a few years. He said he started off as setting a goal for himself to do, I believe it was like a 5K a month or a certain amount of 5Ks. And then he stepped up from doing 5Ks to trying out and testing the waters of the obstacle course races. And I think pretty much fell in love. And I think that he told me, oh my God, I don't even know if I should even give the exact time, because I don't remember how much time he shaved off, but he did one of these Spartan Beasts, which I've never done it, but I think it is like the most intense of these obstacle course races. And he shaved off a significant amount of time. And he totally came back and he goes, Jill, this is absolutely because we've been doing the obstacle course training. And so I've seen his progression in strength. I mean, we got some of these guys who started off and they were not able to do pull-ups. And part of it too is they are also in the lean program, so they've been training with that and shed off some body weight, but they've been building up their strength, and it's pretty incredible to watch because, you know, we've seen them where they started. And you know, all of them too, where they started and you see where they're at now. And it's just really cool to see like the development, you know?
To your credit, Jill, I remember when the idea when you mentioned the obstacle course training, and I wanted nothing to do with it. I thought it was a horrible idea.
Yeah. Yes.
I was like, what? Are you kidding me? I don't, you know, and you persisted. And I'm glad you did because it ended up being a really, really good idea. And thanks to Dan for you know, stimulating the idea. Like
Yeah, for sure.
Chirping in your ear. But yeah, it's funny. I definitely was like kind of against it.
Yeah.
Another thing was one final thing I would say about the obstacle course training is if you're interested in it, you know, you might be, you know, there's I'm sure a lot of people like on the sidelines thinking, wow, that sounds really cool. That's something I'd really want to do, bucket list. Or if you just need a new challenge. I think it's important to always have goals.
Mm-hmm.
Some form of goals. And maybe this is your opportunity to, again, maybe you have to jump in the deep end and not know how to swim, but
Right.
Put your foot in the water, make a commitment, see it through, do one of these races. You don't have to go whole hog, you know, the biggest race out there that start with the Spartan Beast. There's a lot of small 5Ks. The first one I did was a 5K obstacle course. One of the original ones out there was called the Warrior Dash. I'm not even sure if it's still around. It still might exist, but
I think so. I think I've heard of that recently.
it was a 5K with I think 11 to 13 obstacles. Nothing. It was fun. That was the main thing. It was fun. And I had zero concern about how fast I was doing it because I had nothing to gauge it against. You know,
Sure.
how do you know how long it should take to finish?
Right.
You know, with a 5K, you know, you do a 5K, you do another 5K. It's always the same, and you know, generally try to be faster than you were the last time. But with an obstacle course race, the obstacles are different, the location's different, the terrain's different.
The
There's
conditions are different.
Yeah, there's so many moving factors that you should
Yeah.
really just focus on having fun,
Mm-hmm.
completing it safely.
Yeah.
And it was a blast. And I've done the Bone Frog with you guys and things like that since.
Yeah.
But you know, don't think you can't do it. You know, I just read a great blog post. You're 40, not 80. You know, so don't think that it's too late. You know, if you're, you know, not a spring chicken. You know, and by not a spring chicken, I mean, you know, 40, 50 years old. These are things that you can still do, but you have to be trained for it. And assuming, like Joe already mentioned, that you're not dealing with herniated discs and a bum knee and things like that. And even that can be worked around. It's just going to take longer, and you're going to need a slower on ramp. So you're not going to go from off the couch to doing obstacle course training. You know, maybe if you're not doing nothing, you know, start taking some classes, get moving, work your way up to it.
Yeah.
But don't think that it's completely off the table for you. If you work toward it, you can absolutely do it.
Absolutely.
It might change your life. You know.
Yeah, we had especially so we did it this past summer 2018. So 2017 we had a pretty big group of people that did it, and last year we did it. And there were people that actually signed up for the program and had no intention of actually doing it. But I think, again, with the camaraderie that was built, they were like, I've been busting my butt. I absolutely have to do this now. And at the end of it, I swear to God, every single one of them were like, I am so glad that I did that. I never in my life thought I could accomplish something like this. I can't believe I just did this.
And
I mean,
nobody can take it away from you once you do it.
And it's yeah, absolutely. And it's just it really is a different kind of experience and a different success that you have questions and doubts. And a lot of the time people think that they can't do something, and they are absolutely capable of accomplishing it. And sometimes the person that you have to stop listening to is yourself, because, you know, you have the self-doubt talk and the fear that you put in your own head. And really, I mean, how many people were like, I never thought I could do this? How many people were we like, come on, you've been working for this, you got this, we see what you can do? At least half of them, right? And
Sure.
every single one of them after that came up to us and they were like, oh my God, you guys, that was incredible. I'm so proud of myself and I'm so happy I did that.
Along those same lines, another program that we offer, and it's more than just a program, it's a club. It's our heavy metal club, our powerlifting group, which gets together twice a week. And that's just another example of something where I would say, 9 out of 10 people that are in the group got in the group as, with no experience of powerlifting, probably, not even vaguely familiar with the sport at all, what it entails, might not have even have known that it's squat, bench, and deadlift, much less know the rules of the game or competed before. And now we have some, pretty savvy competitors that compete regularly. And I think we have a whole new crop of people that are going to be competing this summer. In fact, I have a training client of mine who is going to be doing her first meet this weekend, the first full powerlifting meet down in Erie, PA at the 100% raw meet. So that's pretty cool too. You can take somebody that's, and this is somebody that it was just a weight loss client that was doing some small group training, got interested in just, got into fitness, enjoyed the experience, and wanted to challenge herself. So we started training, the powerlifting, and now, transferring to actually competing. So another program, our heavy metal club, it's not too late if you want to challenge yourself, if you want to set a goal for yourself. Again, you're not 100 years old. It's not too late. It's never too late if you're willing to put in the time and the effort.
And what do you have to lose, right? I mean, there's
Yeah.
nothing to lose. We're certainly, you have nothing to lose, but everything to gain from doing these type of things.
Yeah. So challenge yourself, and that might be another program that might interest some people. So just throwing that out there. The other thing is we do have other programs coming up, but we're not going to unveil the details on those yet, just because we don't have it. It's just not ready to launch yet, but watch for it this upcoming week. I'm very excited about this new program that we're going to be offering. Right now we're working. We do have we'll just hold off on it. But I think that this new program that Jill and I are putting together might be one of the most exciting ones yet. It's got a lot of great components to it. So just stay tuned for something to drop this week as far as programming. We have also made some changes coming up in the month of May to our class schedule. So watch for those. Always check the class schedule. We've put a poll out there. We've tried to get some feedback from the clients of what they would like more of on our class schedule. We listened to what you had to say. We tried to accommodate some of those changes, and they will be appearing on our new class schedule. So definitely keep an eye out for that stuff too. Right?
Yeah.
We also have new swag that's going to be coming out. Actually today, I came up with a lot of new ideas for new swag. Yeah, I did. I'll when I see you a little bit later, I'll go over those with you. But we have our second anniversary coming up. May 15th is the You Evolve Buffalo anniversary. So we will be fast approaching our second year anniversary. So we will have some anniversary swag with some alternate colors. We're going to be doing a hoodie shirt and a bunch of other cool stuff. So keep your eyes out for the new swag coming too. And then lastly, but certainly not least, Jill and some of the fantastic supporters of You Evolve Buffalo are heavily involved in some charity work around the local area, and that is called You Give Buffalo. And I know that each month we try to do a feature with supporting a new charitable organization. Jill, why don't you let everybody know what you guys are up to with You Give Buffalo?
Sure. So this for the month of May, we got in contact with a woman named Jennifer from Units. If you're unfamiliar with Units, it is a place that takes blood donations in a nutshell. What's awesome about it is that all of the blood that is collected stays right in Buffalo. They go to Sisters Hospital, they go to Oshai Children's Hospital, Buffalo General, Mercy, all of the local areas. So anyone that donates to Units, the blood goes right to our local community. And why this is a little bit near and dear to us specifically for this is Terry, who was also, one of Jeff's clients for years and a competitor in our heavy metal club team. She's actually a state, national, and world record holder, correct, in deadlift. And she's just kind of come in some, unfortunate health circumstances. She has MDS with anemia. And so basically she's had to have, I asked her how many she's had. She's had too many to count blood transfusions. So in wanting to support her and everything that she's been kind of going through, we got in contact with Units, and we are going to be doing a blood drive on Friday, May 24th from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. So you can come on your lunch break if you want, hit us up after work. There's actually going to be a Units bus right in our parking lot. I chose a Friday because it's a day that we don't have any actual classes on that day. I didn't want anyone coming in for giving blood and then trying to exert themselves in a workout. So we planned that pretty strategically and put it on a Friday so we could cater to ideally all of our clientele and anyone who may be wanting to pop in just from the community are welcome. So they don't have to be You Evolve members. It could be anybody that drives by, sees the sign, and wants to stop in. We are going to be on May 11th. So that's May 24th. The actual donation day is May 24th. On May 11th, it's a Saturday, we are going to be doing, I'm going to be running a donation-based boot camp from 9:30 a.m. to 10:15 a.m. It's $10 a person, and all of the money that's going to be collected is going to go to Units. And then right after that, to follow it up, Jennifer is going to be coming in and doing a lunch and learn, and basically giving the details and what to expect and leading up to, what you need to do in order to give blood beforehand, and just what to expect out of the whole experience. So people are really prepared. I believe also that day, if people want to, they can sign up for a time slot. I haven't quite figured out how to navigate the portal that I'm connected to. I have to sit down with her, but there's a portal where you can actually sign up so you have a time slot if you're like in a pinch for time. So that way, ideally, you can get in, get out, go do your thing. But if anyone has any questions, they're more than welcome to join us for that boot camp and the lunch and learn, just to get some details. Feel free to reach out to me if you're not able to make it. But we're really excited. It's going to be a different experience, especially because for those who, don't know me, I do not usually do well with giving blood, and they usually lay me back because I pass out. So there should be comic relief, I guess, for everybody else if you're there around the time that I'm doing it. But it's for a good cause. Absolutely.
It's great work on all your parts, putting that together.
Yeah, we have quite the team of people that that have been helping assist with all of this. So it's pretty awesome.
Cool. Anything else we need to cover, Joe, or can we get into today's topic?
I think that's it for right now.
Yeah, that's enough. I'm sure there's more, but
but wait, there's more, but we'll wait.
Yeah, we'll keep it to that.
Yeah.
So in thinking about some of the different training protocols and different training strategies that we use. On my end, I kind of boiled it down to just two of the most primary ones, most influential ones that I use. And obviously there's over the last 20 years or even longer, there's been a lot of different types of training that have come and gone. And I've taken bits and pieces from, like I said, dozens and dozens of different programs and mixed them up and integrated and found out what works and what doesn't work and kept the good and got rid of the bad. But there's really, at this point, I think two that are really outstanding that make up the bulk of my own training. I cop a lot of the styles of these programs with clients and use it a lot in a lot of the programming that we do. And the first one that I was going to mention was the Jim Wendler 531 program, which I know you're very familiar with too, Joe.
Yeah.
So for anybody that's not familiar with the Jim Wendler is the creator. He was a former record-holding powerlifter, author. He has four or five books on his 531 training system. There's the original 531 for powerlifters book that he put out, and then he did a second edition of 531, which is there's just some variations, so it's more strength based and not just for powerlifting, for overall to get the body overall strong. Then he came up with a follow-up to that called Beyond 531, which he expanded some of the programs, included more conditioning, some hypertrophy work, really took it to the next level. And his latest book, which he put out, it's probably about 2 years old now, is 531 Forever, and which is one of my favorite books of training books of all time. Definitely in the top 5. Absolutely outstanding, very expansive. Takes his original 531 program and makes it very applicable to almost any person's physical fitness goal. There's something in there that you can probably find and be able to use the basics of this 531 program to, whether it's to get into better your cardiovascular shape, whether it's to get, again, the powerlifting, just get strong, body composition, athletics. It covers everything. It talks for an aged, powerlifter. And by age doesn't mean necessarily that you have to be old. It just means that you've been doing powerlifting for a long time and it's taken its toll on your body, or like ex-athletes. You could be 35 years old, and that's not old by any means, but your body might have just a lot of miles on it from training. So you accumulate injuries and over time. So that's what I mean by an aged lifter. Aged in his, like I said, how many hours of training have been put on the engine, so to speak. What makes, for me at least, what makes this program so significant and different from other powerlifting programs is that it uses what's called a training max. So powerlifting is, squatting, benching, and deadlifting, all with barbells. And the primary goal is to lift the weight or press the weight one time for as much weight as you possibly can. And to do that to the standards that are set by a powerlifting federation. So it has to be, it has to meet certain criteria. It can't just be, a squat that you only go down 6 inches and back up. It has to meet powerlifting criteria. So in training to do a max effort lift, he bases all the programming on what's called a training max. So it's taking the heaviest weight that you can do for one time and then reducing that number to 90% of that weight. So as an example, if your heaviest deadlift was 300 pounds, your training max would then become 270 pounds. It would be 90% of 300. And what this does is it builds in a 10% buffer from your true max to your training max. Sometimes he even uses training maxes of 85 and 80%, depending on how intense the programming is. So the purpose of this is not every day that you step into the gym and train is always going to be your best day training. You could be coming off of bad sleep. You can be having a cold. You can be semi-injured, have a little tweak, muscle strains, a lot of factors. Maybe your nutrition wasn't on point.
The women's cycle is a factor.
Oh yeah. I mean, and there's so many stress. We can rattle up 100 different things. So this way, you have this little 10% buffer that you're not coming in training and feeling that your back is against the wall and the weight, and you're not going to be able to complete the training session because your programming has been over-programmed with too heavy of a weight. It also allows you the benefit that if you are having a really, really good training session, that you can go above and beyond that training max and push heavier weights. You don't have to necessarily be hemmed into those lower training max numbers most of the time. So I thought that was pretty unique, because most of the training systems, especially percentage-based training systems, especially percentage-based training with systems around powerlifting, those percentages were always based off of your maximum lift. And this was, I thought, pretty unique in building in that barrier of a training max. So that was the first really, really cool thing and helpful thing that I found about the 531 program. One of the other things is that the programming is simple. Very, very, very simple. It's not fancy at all. It's primarily based around those three major lifts: the squat, the bench, and the deadlift. It requires just a lot of weight and a barbell to accomplish. No fancy equipment needed. And if that's all you had to work with, you would still be able to execute this program and make a lot of progress perfectly fine. You don't need anything else. If you had a chin-up bar and a barbell, you're good to go. You can do a lot of push-ups. You can do dips. Use your body weight. Use that barbell you use the barbell for your squat. Use it for your deadlift. Use it for your press. You can use the barbell for accessory work, for curls and rows and overhead presses. And it's a very simple system that does not require a lot of outside stimulus. So I thought that was very, very cool too. It's not like you had to go to a specialized gym, get any extra equipment. Number three, especially in his later books, it really emphasizes focus on what you can do, not what you can't do. Can't squat, got a bad knee, don't do it. Focus on what you can do and get really good at it. Can you still deadlift? You can't back squat because you can't get your shoulder back, front squat. Don't just because everybody's going to have, again, even if you have a lot of training miles on you and those injuries start to build up, it doesn't mean that you have to quit. It doesn't mean that you don't have to be strong. Focus on what you can do, prioritize those things, get really good at them, make progress. There's almost like that, no excuses. You don't have to quit just because you
have limitations.
So I thought that was very refreshing as well. He also, again, as I think he continued writing more books, especially in Beyond 531 and 531 Forever, as the programming expanded out, he hammers home, ask yourself the question, what is your goal? So if your goal is to get really, really strong with your powerlifting, then everything else that you're doing has to coordinate and complement that. You can't be on a diet and expect to make gains with your squat, bench, and deadlift. If you're cutting calories, if you're eating like a bird, then this isn't the program for you. But the good thing is that there are other programs in that book that if you are looking to change your body composition and cut weight, there are other programs, especially in the 5-3 or 5-3-1 Forever book, that can accommodate that. So before you embark on this, what is your goal? If your goal is to run a marathon, then this program is not for you necessarily. But again, especially in this 5-3-1 program, if you are looking to improve cardiovascular conditioning, there are programs in there that still incorporate those 3 big lifts that can help you do that. So keeping that focus on a goal, and what your goal is, and coordinating your accessory work, your actual programming, your conditioning, and your nutrition around that goal, I thought was, again, maybe it sounds real simple, but I think oftentimes are overlooked. And I try to push that, and I know you do as well, Joe, is we try to really push that point of make sure that you have a goal and that everything is moving toward that goal if you want to accomplish it. Don't and stay focused on one goal, because a lot of times when you incorporate more than one, they require different nutrition, they require different conditioning, different accessory work, and then they start contradicting themselves, and you end up with less than optimal results. The other thing is, especially again in his later books, is always include conditioning work, which I think a lot of people overlook. So he basically incorporates 2 types of conditioning. A lot of using the prowler, which everybody knows. We use the prowler and we use it a lot. It's one of our primary sources of conditioning, especially when the weather is conducive here in Buffalo. So conditioning work, which he calls the heavy conditioning work, using the prowler. He also recommends hill sprints, using a weighted vest, and just sprints in general. And then there's light conditioning work, which is walking for long distances, walking with a weight vest. And if anybody knows us, we've for years and years and years always pushed walking. Greatly underappreciated form of exercise for conditioning and weight loss and weight maintenance, and other benefits too. So those things really hit home with some of the ideals that we practice and promote. So the 5-3-1 one-year program really, I think, is a really good fit for the things that we do. I love the flexibility of the program. If you only have 2 days a week to train, there is a program in there that for you to get that done. You have 3 days a week, 4 days a week, 5 days. It's very very malleable, very easy to work with based on your time constraints. It's a very flexible, simple, smart program.
Yeah, the one that in that from 5-3-1 Forever that I've been doing, that's what is it? There's 22 sets back to back, and after you get warmed up and you have there's a outline of that you should warm up obviously properly first, and then the 22 sets back to back. And the idea is to and it's to keep your strength or to help maintain your strength through all of it, because it uses your training max, but it's also a bit of conditioning along the lines with that too. But what I really like about it is in being a busy individual, the goal is to get it done in under 45 minutes. And it really gives you like a no excuses type thing, because you go in and it hits every single body part within each workout. It doesn't miss a beat with that. And you're in, you're out, and you're worked, that's for sure.
So the one that you're talking about takes each day, it'll take a primary move. So there'll be a deadlift day, and you'll run your progressions. You'll do your 3 warm-up sets, and then you do your 3 heavy working sets. And then you do 5 more additional sets where you back the weight off, going back to the weight of your first working set, and you work and you do that for 5 more sets. All the repetitions are for 5 reps. So you do your 3 warm-up sets for 5, you do your 3 working sets for 5, and then 5 additional sub-maximal weight sets for sets of 5. So that's 11 sets altogether. And in between all 11 sets is an accessory exercise, supersetted. So it makes one big circuit of the 22 exercises.
Yeah.
So you'll have your pushing and pulling accessory work, your abdominal work, your single leg work, all in between. The next workout, it's the same concept, but you would do it with your bench press. You have your 11 sets of bench press, your warm up, your 3 working sets, your 5 back off sets, and then your accessory work in between. Day number 3, you do the same thing with the deadlift. You have your deadlift day, your squat day, your bench press day, and then your overhead press day. And it also, the beauty of that program is that it gives you a lot of flexibility as far as what you want to use as your accessory work in between. It gives you an outline, tells you exactly what the accessory work should be, what the repetitions are. But again, if you have limitations due to whatever, just bodily limitations or equipment limitations, there's always a workaround for it. 45 minutes in, out, done, intense. And that's not necessarily for everyone. One of my favorites in that, I believe it's in the 531 Forever program. It's a 2-day-a-week program. You do 2 days a week of your weightlifting. So you do your bench and your squats on one day with your accessory work. You do your deadlifts and overhead press on one day with your accessory work. You do 2 days of just mobility work and 2 days a week of conditioning. It's 6 days a week. Two lifting sessions, 2 mobility sessions, 2 conditioning sessions. It sounds, I mean, it's easy to fit in. The mobility work shouldn't take you more than 20, 30 minutes twice a week. The conditioning shouldn't take you more than that either, especially if you're using something like the Prower or just doing walking, very easy. And you have to lift weights twice a week, and it's going to work. It's programmed really, really smart and efficient. And it goes on and on and on and on with different examples of how you can take this program and fit it into your lifestyle. You don't have to be an athlete. You don't have to be a competitor. But the main thing, the main concept is to just get you strong. That's really the strong and have some condition in that order. Right, Joe?
Yeah, he's the programming that he's come up with. I've tried other, and I'm not going to go through the list, and I certainly don't want to think anything's being knocked. But this is from a preference standpoint. I would put the 531 outline in the program as my own personal top preference as well.
Yeah, I think I agree. I mean, I love like West Side Barbell training,
yes,
which is conjugate training, which is very intriguing to me. I've done some conjugate training myself using those principles. It's not my cup of tea.
Right.
I will revisit it. I will do it again. I use some of those conjugate training principles with clients, and it works fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not my preferred method of training. And there's been the cube method and so many different things, and they're all 99% of the time, if you follow the program, you're going to make progress.
Right.
And that's what I think a lot of people, no matter what the program is, people tend to stop making progress when they stop following the program.
Sure.
So, you have to find something that you can connect with, and enjoy. If you're not going to be compliant if you're not enjoying the actual training. If you don't enjoy the training or the style of training, or you're trying to pick a program that just doesn't fit into your schedule or your lifestyle,
right,
it's not going to work. And this particular 531 style training, I think, has all those little outlets and valves to make it workable for just about anyone. And I think that's the most important thing.
Sure. And then I think it all goes back to what we always tell people: consistency. You can't train 1 week, not train for a week, train for 2 weeks, not train for 3 weeks, and then have any realistic expectation. But then, I also have noticed, as I'm sure that we've had to have conversations with people, when they first start, powerlifting, I guess, would be the best example. But when they first start, you see these significant improvements.
Beginner gains, it's called.
Yes.
Beginner gains, yeah.
Yes, you see those significant improvements in the beginning, and then they're like, well, it's only 5 pounds more than last time. Only 5 pounds. Do you know that people fight tooth and nail for like years to get, you get to a certain point, and you gotta be willing to keep fighting through when you're not making these grandiose successes. And, like you were talking about too, that just in being an athlete, which powerlifters are athletes, but having the mentality that every day is not going to be a great training session. And I tell this to my clients, just like for general fitness, because every day is not going to be a great day for the variety of reasons that we've discussed already. But the fact of the matter is that the days that are good, bad, or indifferent, you still show up. You still have to be consistent, unless, within reason. There are some days where if you know that you are sick, like sick, there's no reason, right? If you are nursing a injury, there's certain things that can be worked around. Like right now I have Rachel, she got pulled, this poor girl, she got pulled down the stairs by her dog and has a torn meniscus and ACL that she's going to have repaired. And she was just getting the momentum going. She's been doing a great job, but she's been coming to Bars and Bells still. And I have her on a box doing upper body and still finding a way to train. So she's still showing up with that. But, just making sure that whatever program that you end up choosing to do, or whatever your goal is that you stay consistent and, focused and not get discouraged by things when they don't. It's not like I crushed this kind of day.
Yeah. Progressions aren't linear. You're not going to go in a straight line up.
Sure.
It's going to be over time. It's going to wave its way up, and there'll be plateaus. The main thing is when you get to those plateaus, and most people don't have the patience or understanding of what a true plateau is. A couple weeks is not a plateau. I think speaking of, I know we mentioned the conjugate training in the West Side, barbell training. The beauty of that program is when they do their maximum effort lifts, which they do every week, they do maximum effort work, 1 rep max work. But they do it with different, they don't do the same exercise each week.
Yeah.
So for instance, with squatting, they don't just do a regular traditional squat and max out all the time. What they'll do is they'll use a safety bar and they'll do a max effort with the safety bar. So now you have a personal record for a safety bar squat. And then they can come back next time, and they'll train with this. And they train in 3-week waves, similar to the 5-3-1 program. It's a 3-week wave, and a lot of people might notice that I do their training the same way. We train in 3-week waves because after 3 weeks, the body accommodates to that resistance, to that program, to those exercises, and then it needs to change. If you continue going more than 3 weeks with that same programming or those same exercises, you will actually start to go backwards. You won't make progress because your body has adapted to that. Right? So with the conjugate system, what they do is they will work, let's say, the safety bar squat for 3 weeks. They'll max out. They'll record a record, a max record, a maximum, PR lift for that. And then they'll train the next week with the squat, maybe with the cambered bar, or maybe they'll do it in a front squat. Or they'll do a box squat. They'll do a 6-inch box squat, an 8-inch box squat. Every 3 weeks, they're changing something. They'll do squat with chains. Then they'll do 3 weeks of squat with bands, and then they'll go back and do a safety bar squat with bands, a safety bar squat with chains. So, and now before you know it, at the end of the year, they're going to have 50 different PRs just on the squat, because again, you are always really pushing yourself hard, which is going to make you strong.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also no time for adaptation, because you're always changing the exercises. And now you have all these different PRs. You're going to have a book of all these PRs. And then every, say, 3 or 4 cycles, what you can do, or longer, is you can go back and say, okay, what's my safety bar squat PR? And go back and try to beat that by 5 pounds. And after, 3, 4 training cycles, it's not hard to do if you were consistent and did that and worked on all your weak points in between. And then you go back and you're always breaking records. But it's not like you're always going in there and just trying to bench press. You'll never, it's not going to happen. So you can do a bench press off of a 1 board, off a 2 board, a 3 board. You can do change your grip each time, a narrow bench press, medium bench press, extra wide, or traditional bench press. You can do all 3 of those. So think about this. Let's say 3 grips on your bench press, wide, medium, and narrow. That's 3 records right there. Now do them all again with the 1 board. That's 3 more, that's 6. Do it with a 2 board. Do it with a 3 board. Do them wide, medium, with chains. All 3 of them. Now do all 3 with chains with a 1 board. Do all 3 chains with a 2 board. Now you have all new records. Do 2 sets of chains and then do it with band. So the combinations are endless,
right,
as far as PRs that you can set with yourself and measure your progress. And then you can go back and try to break all those records again by 5 pounds. So you're always breaking records. From a competitive standpoint, the psychological advantage of that is enormous. And that's why they always claim that these Louis Simmons and his West Side crew say, if there's a meet tomorrow, we're ready. We're ready to go. We don't need to ramp up or scale down. It's just like if somebody says, let's have a competition right now, those guys are ready, because you know why? They max out all the time. And it's not like, well, I haven't lifted anything heavy in a while. I've only been using 75% and blah, 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 blah. But that's definitely a different style of training. But I think it works. Very, very intriguing.
Yeah.
Very intriguing.
The world-class power lifters, a lot of them use that.
They have the most world records in the world.
Sure, it's undeniable.
It's the world's strongest gym. You can't. You can't. Their methods are proven. The other training method, which is one that I've been using for at least 8 years now, in some form or another, is integrated training, which was developed by Dr. Fred Hatfield. I am so disappointed that I haven't found this method of training sooner. The first time I heard of it was on the Rob Wolf podcast, like I said, maybe 9 years ago, 8, 9, actually maybe even longer, because it took a couple of times for me to hear about it before I actually went and followed up and learned about it. I heard him mentioning, which if you ever listen to his podcast, it's very nutrition based, about the paleo diet. He was a former CrossFit affiliate, so they do talk about, CrossFit training, but they never talked much about a lot of just straight exercise and training. It was always a more nutrition based. So when he said, and I really, really appreciate his work, and when he said that he thought one of the best training methods was the Hatfield integrated training, so I'm like, wow, that's different that he even threw that out there, or that he endorsed it. And then it came up again. I'm like, I got to find out what this is about. So he's probably got, Hatfield probably has about 40 books out there, but I bought the 2 books. He has one on powerlifting and one on bodybuilding. And for today's purposes, I'm going to talk about the bodybuilding book, the integrated training, principles of hardcore bodybuilding. This training method for body composition, hypertrophy, building muscle, not getting strong, actually building muscle, and changing your body composition is, in my opinion, by far, hands down, the most effective, comprehensive training program ever designed that I'm aware of. I have not come across anything that can even compare to this as far as being thorough and effective. So as I already stated, the focus of this integrated training is for body composition and bodybuilding. Strength and conditioning is usually a byproduct of this, that you do get stronger and you do increase your cardiovascular capacity just because you get into such great shape by doing this. So this particular training program trains every area of the body. It focuses on legs, calves, back, chest, shoulders, biceps, triceps, forearms, abdominals. It really breaks the body down. Just think bodybuilding here, and sculpts. Its goal is to sculpt every single area in fine detail in order to get that perfect symmetry that each person would be individually be looking for. And it uses 3 different weight ranges, 3 different repetition ranges, and 3 different tempos to your exercise. And this is for full and complete muscular development. And the way he breaks this down is into so you're attacking all the different muscle fibers, the ones to get you real strong, the ones that are going to actually create the hypertrophy, grow the size of your muscle cells, and then even the ones that are going to improve the conditioning and increase the capillaries in your body for better blood flow, which is going to also increase your cardiovascular capacity. The crux of this, besides those principles of having 3 different weight ranges, 3 different repetition ranges, 3 different tempo styles, is the schedule, the training cycle. It's a 31-day training cycle. And the way that the cycle is laid out is based on the recovery of every body part. So most traditional training programs will train, say, the chest 1 day a week, the legs 1 day a week, the back 1 day a week, train everything, you hit everything 1 day a week. Or you might have just do everything full body each time, work out 3-4 days a week, do full body workouts. Or you might do chest and shoulders 1 day, back and biceps another day, triceps. You know, there's these weekly training schedules. Well, he doesn't do a weekly training schedule. He does a monthly training cycle. And you may be 1 day training calves with your legs. The next time you might be doing calves with abs in your chest. You might be doing chest and biceps 1 day. You might be doing chest and biceps triceps the next time it comes around. Because the only thing that matters is you should be training that day whatever muscle group has recovered from its previous workout. And this is what makes this program so efficient and effective. You don't waste time. You're not wasting time by training body parts that aren't recovered and able to maximize their gains. And you're not also resting body parts when there's no sense keep resting them for longer than they need to. If they're recovered, go ahead and train them again. Otherwise, you're missing training opportunities on those body parts. So that I've never seen before until I saw this program. And the way so the biggest question is, well, how do you know when your body parts are able to be recovered and be trained again to effectiveness? It's not just willy-nilly like, okay, I feel good. Oh, I'm sore, so I'm not ready. He actually lays out every body part, and based on the amount of volume that body part was exercised, how many sets, how many repetitions, and how much weight was used, how many days it would take for that body part to recover. And then that body part gets laid into the schedule. So if it takes 3 days for your legs to recover after doing this particular amount of volume, well, on day 4, you're going to train the legs again. Your shoulders, it only takes 36 hours to recover from this amount of volume. Well, guess what? In 2 days, you're training the shoulders again. It's not as complicated as it sounds because he did all the work for you and figured it out and has a full schedule laid out as far as every body part and how long it takes for that body part to recover based on how much volume it received. And then he put it into a 31-day schedule. Again, he broke it down into if you were training 6 days a week, if you want to train 3 days on, 1 day off, every other day. It's very, very impressive. I've run this program for years on and off. I've run it with clients that have trained for bodybuilding composition, bodybuilding, bikini competitors, figure competitors, physique competitors. Hands down, it's almost flawless in my opinion. And I can't believe that this isn't more mainstream. I can't believe that it's not as the people that know it know it. I've turned some people onto it. The downside to it is it is a lot. It can be a lot of volume, but if you have to also know yourself and what your goal is, and it's very easily modifiable too. But if you're looking just for straight body composition changes, I can't come up with anything better. Really, I can because I've made some modifications to it that I think might have actually made improvements to the program, which I'll explain in a minute. But anybody that's trained with me or have done my classes have experienced elements of this type of training. Anybody that knows me knows that I like to use that wide variety of repetitions of a lot of 5-rep ranges. I use a lot of 12s, that 12 to 15 rep range. And I'm always sprinkling in those 30 reps, 40 reps, 50 reps, and on a very rare occasion, maybe something like 100 rep set. But it's those those 5 to 8 rep range, the 10 to 15 rep range, the 20 to 40 rep range. And I like to change a lot of tempos, things that I would call explosive training, steady training, where you use the same tempo in both directions, using a pause at the beginning and the end of the repetition, and also slow, steady, constant motion. And I've used these principles all the time.
I think that's a great explanation. So as to why the specific training, because a lot of my style of training, I don't want to say exactly just because then it's like the grandma's cookie recipe and I don't want to whatever. But, when I first started personal training people, a lot of what I have learned over the years has been from you, and so that's a lot of when I do like my personal training and small group training, there's a lot of that mixed in there as well. The sets of 5. And I explained, that this should be heavier. It should be something that's, you're able to successfully complete the sets, but you shouldn't be able to bang out 10 more after you get to 5, and
right.
that, they say the sets of 40 and they're all like, seriously, 40, like, where do you come up with this stuff? Why so many? And I've tried to give a little bit of an explanation. I don't know that anyone actually wants to hear the explanation. They just want to know why they're doing 40 or something.
They just want to know that Right?
So, but it's for anybody who's ever wondering that the method to the madness, this is a perfect explanation.
Those especially those 40 rep sets, if you get away from them and you don't do them for a while. So as an example, if I'm myself running like a Jim Wendler 5-3-1 type program, I still try to incorporate some of those 40 rep sets because of the amount of muscle endurance it builds. Not that you need muscle endurance for powerlifting, but I just like, if you get away from it and you go back to it, it's
rough.
It's rough. It's taxing. But I found that when doing those 40 rep sets on all your body parts, So doing 40 rep sets for the biceps, curls, and tricep extensions in your chest and back, legs, shoulders. What that does is that really, he's exactly right, that what it does is it improves your overall blood flow capacity because of the amount of capillaries that it increases and improves. So you're getting, even just on a bicep. So I'm doing 40 reps on the bicep, getting a good pump. That in turn is going to improve my overall cardiovascular capacity, because if I do that 40 rep principle throughout and train my entire body like that, that's at the primary, rep range that I'm using. But if I always include that weekly, then if I go to do something like running or hiking where my body needs to kick in some cardiovascular capacity, my body is ready to go because my entire body has more capillaries that can handle that blood flow and that oxygen flow through the blood. And that's why I've said for a very long time that if you do this program, you do not need to do hardly any hard conditioning. This is your hard conditioning, those 40 rep sets. Put some weight, grab some dumbbells, and you do, after you've already trained your legs in heavy squats of 5s and doing, stiff leg deadlifts in that 12 rep range, and then go do sets of 40 lunges, a couple times a week.
Yeah, but it builds up your endurance, in the conditioning and everything.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Well, you did the marathon you ran. You didn't run. I mean, you didn't do any. I mean, maybe this isn't something that I would generally suggest to most people if they're not in, like if you've never run before and you don't work out at that intensity that you were following, but you did that marathon without
no cardio.
Marathon training.
Yeah, no, I did 0 cardio for 17 months prior to the marathon.
Yeah.
None, other than walking and integrated training. And I was able to complete the marathon just because of the conditioning that program got my muscles in.
Yeah.
And not just my legs, but my entire body. I can't emphasize that enough, is that doing those 40 rep sets throughout your entire body, even though it's just biceps, triceps, forearms, things that you normally wouldn't associate with improving your cardiovascular capacity, it absolutely did.
For sure.
So the one thing that I modified for myself when using that integrated training, and how I modify it, well, a couple ways, but the primary way when using it for programming with my clients or actually putting a program together, is the way Dr. Hatfield laid this program out. You got to remember, he was coming from a powerlifting background. He was a world record holding powerlifter. The first guy ever to squat 1,000 pounds was Dr. Fred Hatfield. His nickname's Dr. Squat. Just a massive powerlifter, and also the author of this bodybuilding program. So in order to determine which weight that you would use for any of these, so let's say you're training your chest and you're doing your 3 sets of 5 repetitions, say, you would be using 85% of your maximum weight. So a couple things: no training max, which makes it very, very tough, which is a hat tip to the Wendler program for implementing a training max. But it's also hard to do this type of training, doing everything off of percentages. So even things like chest flies, you're using percentages off of a training max. Now, who has a training max for chest flies? To me, it was crazy. Much less trying to use these, put this all together, like lunges. Who has a training max for lunges? It's not, I hate to say it's nonsense, but it's nonsense. Nobody would have a database, I don't think, or even should have a database of training maxes for tricep kickbacks or dumbbell rows. So I thought to myself, well, there's got to be a better way to determine how much weight you should be using in order to achieve the volume that this program needs. So what I did, so this in my mind opened up this training program to be able to use any exercise. So when in Hatfield's program, it calls for a 5 rep range, I modified it to 4 to 8 reps. So no matter what exercise you choose, in my version of the program, is if you cannot complete 4 repetitions, then you know you picked the wrong weight. You're out of the box and you need to lower the weight. If you can complete 8 repetitions or more, you also know that you picked the wrong weight because it's too light. So I created this 4 to 8 rep range that as long as you are maxing out your efforts in that range, then you know that your percentage is right. And that works pretty much to a T. That does not mean that you have to fail. I'm not saying that you should be failing on repetition 7 and 8. All repetitions still must be performed cleanly, crisply, with quality, and not sacrificing form. If the form starts to break down on the 6th rep, you're done. You don't push out 7 and number 8 with sloppy reps. But you completed 6 reps. We're looking to stay between 4 and 8. On your next set, you use the same weight until you drop out of the 4 rep range. Make sense? Mm-hmm. Same thing now with if it prescribes 12 reps, I expand it to 10 reps to 15 reps. So if you cannot get at least 10 reps, or you can get 15 or more reps and still keep the quality, you need to make the adjustment of adding more weight or lowering the weight to fall in line in that repetition range. And when it comes to your high rep sets for 40, I use the parameters of 20 to 50 reps. Really expand it. And if you fall in between 20 and 50 reps with high quality reps, then you know that your percentage of whatever exercise you're doing is going to be close enough to be effective. So that was the one modification that I made to the program, which I think makes it simpler for anybody because now you don't have to worry about percentages. You can
try to figure out numbers walking around with the calculator.
Yeah, and you would have really nothing to base those percentages off anyway.
Right.
Let's say you get into a situation where you have kettlebells. You don't have a kettlebell swing max, right?
Right.
But your body will tell you if you were doing a high, kettlebell swings for 40 to 50 reps, you would know when you are out of gas and you can no longer perform those. So now you can use a kettlebell swing as one of your exercises. And then you can take that same kettlebell and use it for presses. And it doesn't necessarily, you can use anything and just apply those repetition ranges. The other thing is he uses what's called a zigzag system, where he bounces back and forth from his 5 repetition range exercise so it's a circuit. It's an 11 set circuit. And all the odd numbers, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and 11, are all the heavy duty 5 rep exercises. So it's an 11 exercise circuit, all the odd numbers. So let's say we're going to do a bench press, an incline bench press, and a chest fly. Your bench press is going to be your 5 rep range. Your incline bench press is going to be your 12 rep range, and your chest flies are going to be your 40. So all the odd numbers are going to be your 5 rep bench press. And then in between, he lays in the 12 rep incline press and the chest flies and makes one circuit out of it. The way I modified that was I made it an 11 exercise circuit, but starting with the 40 rep set, the 12 rep set, the 5 rep set, and repeat that 3 times in a row for 9 sets, and then add an additional 11 rep set and end with the 5 rep set. So it's still 11 sets, but it's not that zigzag method. It's more like a tri-set times 3, which gives you 9, with the 2 medium and heavyweight exercises at the end. And what I found that I like about that over the zigzag method is now you're using your endurance, you're knocking out your endurance muscle fibers at the beginning. That taxes you before you get into your heavy work, which forces you to use less weight. and also allows you to use different exercises more effectively, because now it's taken away the expectation of, say you are going to be doing a bench press and you know that you generally lift 250 pounds for 5 reps.
Not during that set, you're not.
No, yeah. So that's, that's immediately off the table, and it curbs your expectation for the amount of weight that you have to use, because you should know through common sense that you're not going to be able to lift that much, and it gets you to focus in on just the repetitions and the tempos. The other thing is, and this isn't 100% proven by science, but it's speculated, that when you do an exercise, whatever muscle fibers that were used last in that exercise, they have an effect on the muscle fibers that are adjacent to them, that are next to them, that they can influence the makeup of them. So for instance, if you just got done doing a set of 40 repetitions, tapping into your endurance, your slow twitch endurance muscle fibers, they will have an influence on the satellite cells next to them, and could push them toward becoming endurance muscle fibers themselves, which most people that are looking for strength and hypertrophy, growing the muscle, would not want to do. You would want the exact opposite effect. You would want to end with a heavy set to influence your your fast twitch muscle fibers, to influence the other muscle fibers around them, to make you stronger, and to grow those muscle fibers to make them larger and bigger. And that's how you're going to improve your body composition through shape. He speculated that, this is going back into the 70s and 80s, that was the case. And there is a lot of scientific research that is, I wouldn't say proving it, but pointing in the direction that is actually true. So a lot of people in their training do all the heavy work first, and then they start to lighten the weight up as they go, and end with the easy light work at the end. The body is going to remember the last thing that it did. And if it's that light work, you might not necessarily want to be influencing your prior workout by the effect of what you did last, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Maybe that would be a good idea if endurance, muscle endurance and cardiovascular capacity and all those things were your goals. That might be a good strategy. But generally, I know for myself, that isn't one of my goals. It's usually always strength or body composition.
Sure.
So changing that method of training and then ending with the heavy stuff at the end, I thought might have a better influence. The sad ending to this story is that just about, I think, under 2 years ago, Dr. Hatfield was doing a local seminar in Niagara Falls. Adam Furchin was having him at Elite Training, at Elite Fitness, to do a seminar. I had tickets. I had my seat reserved to go to the seminar. I was dying to get to meet him in person. I had my training program written out, ready to go, and all I wanted to do was ask him what he thought about my changes to his program, and if he thought they were stupid or if they were good, or just any kind of insight. I didn't care if he said, or if he's, said, no, Jeff, that's not going to work because of X, Y, and Z. That's your thinking's off, or wow, I never really thought of it. Anything, any kind of reaction. And don't you know, I think it was a month before he was supposed to come, he died, and I never got the chance to go meet him and ask him. And then it's so regrettable, because if had I known that, I would have emailed him or reached out to him personally, or done something more aggressive to present it to him for his opinion on it.
Sure.
But I came that close to, and that's I always think about that. That's gonna make me mad for a long time.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, but those are the way that I sculpt a lot of my own training, most of my own training. I use all those principles from all those programs when programming for my clients, depending on their goals. A lot of the classes that I write, Hell's Bells, and our circuit training classes, Strychnine, our lean programs, buddy boot camps, all those things have influences of those programs. Our heavy metal club, our power lifters, I use a lot of the 531 with them. It's been very influential in sound training.
100% agreed. That's Bars and Bells is definitely another one that I take a lot of and implement a lot of those techniques as well.
Oh, anything else, Joe? We've been going for quite a while here.
Nope, that's all I got for today.
Yeah, out of gas.
Yeah.
So what do you think about, I was thinking for next week's episode, which would be episode 13, defining health. Like actually trying to, if somebody was to ask you what constitutes being healthy,
Jeff, there's a funny thing that I'm in the middle of a master health coach certification, so that sounds good to me.
Okay, I think that to actually try to be able to articulate what you would or I or how somebody would define healthy, and maybe we can even throw in there, which I always find an interesting question is, what is strong? That's a good one too. And just an example, maybe to get some people's wheels spinning is, okay, you might be able to, deadlift 600 pounds, but can you sit on the floor with your legs in a V and climb a rope with just your arms and not using your legs?
Mm-hmm.
You might not get 6 inches off the floor, but you might get like a gymnast or somebody that can fly up the rope, but can't nearly lift as much.
They might not even be able to lift the bar.
Right.
Yeah.
Or somebody that can do, there's just so many different ways of measuring strength. Can we come up with maybe some parameters that would better articulate what we think a strong person should be capable of?
Sure.
But we'll definitely start with a healthy person.
I would love to get people's opinions and feedback on this even before going into it, what they define as health and what they define as strong, because it's interesting to get other people's insights and what their thoughts are too.
Great idea. Let's poll the audience. We'll put it out there.
Sounds good.
Okay, Jill. I'll see you soon.
All right.